it's like he never showed up. Colby,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
When you talk that much shit and then a guy fights you that disciplined, and isn't letting you or isn't forcing you into taking chances.
Right.
I mean, that's tough. You can never
Well,
get going.
he
Is everything
just,
good?
Cool. He never,
Nice.
but he never caused Leon to.
Did you want to check the sound real quick?
Already did, brother.
Oh yeah,
you guys
dude.
are live.
Well, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, when you
But he never even took a chance. He never even tried to do. He didn't even do any position adjustments at all. Hardly, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
At the end,
he wasn't
though.
trying to adjust level. Yeah, but that's because he knew how much gas he had left. I'm telling you, 2 years off. Fuck. Did you hear that Leon and Masvidal might fight at 300? Which I don't think that's true at all.
I didn't hear that. That would be fucking wild.
That was just a rumor on SureDog, and I don't think there's any leverage to it at all. I think Masvidal's done fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not done. He'll take one more. I think they'll get something. They'll get one more. They'll get one more done by him. That's going to be something like Masvidal, Diaz. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or they might. I mean, they might do that Askren rematch. You never know.
I don't think. God, that's straight troll. And then after that, Dennis Seaver might get a fight.
Dennis Seaver, McGregor, 300.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do you think about his bulking status?
Who, Seaver?
No, Conor.
McGregor. I haven't even. What's going on? I don't even know. What do they say that has he just gotten a lot bigger? Because I haven't seen him recently. What's he walking around by 180? Like, is he walking around like a 185er?
He said that he was going to announce who he's going to fight on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and then he announced Michael Chandler, and said it'd be at 185. Now I don't think it'll be at 185.
No, there's no way it'd be at 170.
Have to be, but that's what McGregor said. 185.
It could be at a catchweight though, 178, 180 maybe. Because could you imagine Chandler bulking up to 180? Oh, my gosh, dude.
He'd be a nightmare. He's short, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God McGregor isn't a wrestler.
Right. Isn't there a part of you that thinks if Chandler just wanted to wrestle him, he could?
I do.
I mean, like,
but I don't know because, like, Conor's got that weird leverage or that weird – it's so weird how he can strike. So, like, even if you're trying to take him down, you never get, unless you're Khabib or somebody, you just don't get that distance on him to be able to get that leverage on him. Because,
yeah, I
mean, look at how short Chandler is compared to him. He's probably, what's Chandler, 5'6", 5'7"?
I think he's probably 5'8".
I'm fucking 5'7" and a half. I don't know.
You've got to be closer to 6 feet tall, buddy.
I don't know, man. My old lady's like 5'10", and she 5'9", 5'10", and I mean, she looks like she's 12 foot tall next to me.
God, I don't think we can look up his height real quick. Michael Chandler, I think he's 5'8".
Sure dog shit height on Wikipedia. That's like 4'11".
Man, though, I heard an interesting.
Here we go.
5'8". Boom. One for the guy on the right.
I think that's being nice, though, dude.
I heard an interesting conspiracy theory.
It's gonna be men. It's just gonna be a repeat. If McGregor and him fight, it's gonna be him like Chad Mendez. Is how it's gonna go.
You know, dude, it's one of those things where these wrestlers build up huge. They build up huge like credit to their wrestling on paper, but then. When's the last time and that's not something that you just keep around. Like, you keep a little bit of it, but that's not something you keep around when you don't ever fucking wrestle. Then you're not going to be good at wrestling under the most highest pressure situation possible.
Well, like Chandler started using it more as a defensive way, as defense, you know? If you see, and just like, I like the way Chandler fights because you don't know if he's going to throw a big fat ass overhand or if he's going to take you down. Because he still gives you that danger because his base is so short, you know?
Is that not hilarious? We're not the only people that feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's no fucking way, man.
I think
kind of like
5'8".
DC is every bit at probably 290 right now.
Or 300.
Oh,
that's
least.
a big boy.
I know how big my ass got, you know?
God, part of him probably wants to come back, too.
Oh, probably. Especially seeing Miocic and Jones, you know?
I'd watch that one again.
If I was Jones and I saw that Aspinall performance, though, I would be a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. Against Pavlich, that dude was arguably the best striker in the heavyweight division, and he dismantled him.
Yeah, but there's sometimes people do a thing that makes them successful that's not guaranteed, and there's a reason that it's successful for a short period. And what I mean by
People
that
don't
is,
figure it out yet.
well, or they're willing to risk it for the biscuit. And
Right.
and that guy was willing to go in there and throw haymakers.
Well, that's what happened with him and Overeem.
And we've never seen past.
The first round.
Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
it was Overeem.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I was trying to think of someone else who I was talking about this with yesterday, and the thought slipped my mind.
I
but
fucking love Overeem so much.
he's great.
Dude,
See how
everybody...
slim he is now?
Oh, you gotta be, man. After putting your body through all that stuff, you know, the dude's super smart too. Like he's very analytical and methodical in the way he talks. Well, you know, I was thinking about doing, you know, and he's just real Schwab in the way he talks. I bet you he's quite the ladies' man.
Yeah. Where did he fight before Pride?
That's where okay, so basically he started out in Golden Glory. And I think he was just doing like, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but he was probably just doing smoker matches before he got into Pride. It was him and his brother, because his brother's older than he is.
Was that Glory Kickboxing before Glory Kickboxing?
Yeah.
And it was called Golden Glory?
Well, it was a gym. It was a gym called Golden Glory. And it had like Mike from Mike's gym. He was at it. There was a few of these other guys that were, you know, I think, again, it could be completely wrong. If I'm remembering it correctly, you know. And then Overeem came up around Pride. I want to say it was 02, 03. He was like 19 or 20 when he first, because he's like 2 or 3 years older than I am.
Yeah.
So those guys like Arlovsky and him. And what is it about heavyweight that you can have that longevity of a career? Is weight cutting mess you up that much?
It could be. I mean, we know that there's a lot of compromise that you give up when you weight cut.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Clearly it seems like some of the longest running people have been heavyweights. Mark Hunt.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Alistair Overeem.
Of course.
My phone just died.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Oh, God.
Wait a minute. 1999, and it's Showtime, the first event. Name promotion.
If you go down to the record, it'll show you.
There was there for a while where he just like...
Here you go.
Right after
Holy
Pride.
fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy has what, 60, 72 fights?
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Holy
and we're like, these
shit.
are legit motherfuckers too. These aren't like the dudes that Dan Severn fought.
Yeah, 30 fights ago he was fighting Chuck Liddell.
Have you ever seen Dan Severn's fucking fight record? It's
No.
all just like dudes that are just like, well, I got the kids this weekend, so I'm gonna do an MMA match in front of them, you know?
Whoa. Showtime Mixed Martial Arts or Showtime Kickboxing it must have been.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Well, this is the Mixed Martial Arts record, though.
Well,
Wow,
they billed
against
it as a mixed
Ricardo
martial. See, because look, it was in Netherlands, so it showed. So it was a mixed it was a kickboxing that they probably did mixed martial arts at.
Yeah.
So.
And then right after that, he's in a promotion called Rings in 1999.
Okay, I figured that's what it was. Rings was his second one. I figured he went through Rings as well.
Okay, keep going up there, Jack.
And also, Fedor Emelianenko came from Rings as well.
First Pride is July 2002. Hey, so maybe can you explain to me? Wasn't there a stint where the UFC was going strong, and then people went to Pride, and then the new owners, and then back to UFC? That's how it worked, right?
Okay, so this is basically what happened. Okay, so you got you got the origin of MMA and Vale Tudo and mixed martial arts that started, that was starting to get surface in the 80s when Brazil. And then, the Gracies were like, hey, we can make some money off of this because this will make our school gigantic. And it did, obviously. Mm-hmm. And that's why you had the first the Gracies be involved in the first UFC. They were already in tournaments, though, before that with Hickson. Hickson was already doing tournaments before that in Japan. There was already Bare Knuckle Valley. Is that mine or yours? Kind of shit is that? Anyway.
I don't know. Oh,
yeah,
well.
it's probably somebody blowing my phone up.
It's all good.
We hate you.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You're a horrible human. Anyway, so, but basically, it's just like completely changed the podcast.
Yeah. So tell me about your depression.
Tell me about the 8 people that want to currently kill you, Mr. Allen. But anyway, it started out as like,
Is that outdoor? Oh, okay.
Yeah. What did you eat some
Yeah.
before?
No, I think there's a semi pulling up outside the studio. to drop off some high quality Behringer gear that's been flown in.
Behringer, that's like B-side gear anyway. Get some PV shit at least.
There's this band called Snake Eater, and they used to do. You remember when vlogs for bands were really popular?
Yeah, of course.
And the drummer, I think it was, so fucking hilarious. Shout out George Schmitz. They were in the studio, and back then your studio was like your closet that you put a bunch of foam up on the walls, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And so they're filming their vlog. They're about to go on like a Midwest tour where they're just playing like 7 bars. And in one of the vlogs, they're like, George, what are you doing? If I fuck this up, it might have been another band member, but it was so hysterical, man. And and they go, George, what are you doing? And they're like, we're trying to record this, but it's not going good, man. And they're like, well, what do you need to fix it? And he goes, well, we've got some high-quality fucking Behringer gear getting flown in from Japan overnight.
Behringer gear?
Behringer.
And Behringer's, like, seriously, like, I remember getting a Behringer PA system back in, like, 05, 06 for, like, $150. Those things are built like tanks, by the way. My grandma, to this day, still uses it as a karaoke machine.
Yeah.
And will just crank that fucker up. Just Korean karaoke to the fucking gills.
There was 2 people. You either had the $299 to buy the Behringer two mains or 2 subwoofer or 2 monitors, however you wanted to use them.
This was,
and it always came with a mixer and 2 shitty mics.
Yeah.
Or if you were like me,
fake SM58s.
Yeah, if you were like me, dude, you had to go one step down and get the $199 Phonic.
Yeah.
You remember Phonics?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what I had. But you know what? They lasted me a while.
Hey.
The worst fucking sound quality.
Yeah, it just like distorts whatever you're talking into.
Yeah, they were not very loud. But man, I did a lot of fucking playing on that PA system. So, okay, dude, so the Gracies were involved in the startup of UFC 1.
Yep.
And this was under the old UFC owners?
Yes.
Okay.
This
you know by chance who the old UFC owners were?
It was, okay, so Art Davies, he was I don't know if he was an announcer or what, but he was involved pretty heavily in it. They also had like Don. These are guys that would just hang out and do like, be guest refs and shit, like Don the Dragon Wilson, some dude that used to do fucking kung fu movies back in the 80s and shit. They had him. They had all these guys. They had and then they had Jeff Blatnick, who to me, besides like Joe Rogan, and I think actually Dominic Cruz, and I love how they have fighters do commentary. You don't get more real than that, But Joe Rogan, obviously, I mean, the dude's a pretty credited martial artist, so he knows what he's talking about. It's not like
world champion,
of course,
Taekwondo.
Of course, if any. But I feel like they should get more guys that have credentials like that to judge the fights, because that's what they used to do back in the day in the dark ages when you could hit somebody in the genitals. Yeah.
Because there was no legal commission, right?
Nope. There was no. That's why you had shit like Colorado. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that's or like fucking Mohegan Sun, where Bellator would do tons of shit, where you could do any kind of testing you wanted to,
or not.
Yeah. Or exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, man, that's one thing that I feel like not a lot of people even understand to this day, that it might not actually be. I know the Vegas Commission still notoriously gives bad decisions.
Oh, they're horrible.
New York is fucking terrible.
Oh, they're bad too.
But one thing that is so fucking crazy that I try to explain to people all the time is like when you start fucking going down fucking Zen. This podcast is brought to you by Rogue unofficially. One of those things when you trickle down the states and you come to Missouri, dude. These fucking Missouri Commission guys, and I don't know a lot of them personally, but they're like, dude, they're wearing their Missouri State Commission blue long sleeve T-shirts. They're just some fucking middle-aged guys that work for the state, and they probably got thrown in there.
And probably half of them used to do fucking wrestling tournaments. For real.
At
state level.
And I'm sure a lot of them are really passionate now. But it's to no fault of their own that they were just thrown into this when we started developing a sanctioned body for mixed martial arts.
I remember watching a Titan FC event, and it had Bobby Lashley in it. And I had actually went to it. It was in, like, Hughes, Kansas or something like that. It was, like, where this base was. And it was dope. And they had it outside and stuff.
What year was this?
This was 2013.
Hey, pull up Bobby Lashley. We just had John Ott on the podcast. He fought Bobby Lashley.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I had I had known his coach at the time, Austin Ford.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting tattooed by one of my buddies and hitting mitts and stuff with him, and doing some coaching for one of my friends. And yeah, this was like 2013. I want to say March.
There's that John Ott fight go down. I bet it was that one. If it was in Kansas. Kansas City, Kansas. There you go, buddy. John Ott, Titan FC 17.
No, this was after that, though. This was like 2000, like I said.
Shout out John Ott.
Titan FC.
First podcast,
there it is.
guess.
Kevin Asplund.
So,
June 7th, 2000.
you went to this fight at Fort Riley?
Yeah. That
wow.
was it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so the UFC then, UFC 1, Gracie's are involved. They get this stuff fired up.
Right. Because if you think about it, how big would your school be if one of your guys that were on the smaller end of one of the Gracies, because like Hickson probably would fight, well, today he'd probably fight at 170, but he was fighting about 185, 202, 205. You know what I mean? And so, therefore, Henzo and, Hoist, those guys soaking wet are 170 pounds.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's the bigger one anyway. And out of everybody, he's the best. He was the best one. But he never fought in the UFC and anything like that. Because, again, do you want this god, like, looking like a god destroying these guys? Or do you want a regular-looking Joe Blow that's 170 pounds fucking these guys up? Which one looks better for your school?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what an interesting intricacy back then that, dude, even when I was in high school, there was still that conversation of people like, dude, I know a guy to this fucking day that thinks that some of those people in those old karate movies and like
are legit.
The 6-inch punch man.
Yeah.
Dude, I know people to this day that think that's legit, but just fast forward 1999, the infancy of the UFC.
Sure.
You're looking at an actual question. Can this guy beat this discipline because he has this background?
Well, that's the thing about it is and let me give you an example. If we were going 20 years ago, right, and I told you that a stand-up practitioner was going to fight a wrestler, who do you think would fucking win that fight? A fucking wrestler, hands down. 20 years ago, of course. Nowadays, you got some of these guys coming out of China and stuff like that with some of their sanda and stuff like that, or like Muslim Salikov. Those guys, I would say, wait a minute, this guy can do this discipline better than those guys can fucking grapple.
Yeah, but I don't think 20 years ago, I disagree. I think 20 years ago, most people assumed that if you were the more elite striker, even on paper, that you were going to come away with the victory.
No.
You think that people still knew the wrestlers were going to succeed?
Yeah, till 10 years ago, you could tell I would pick tell about
pass me that coffee.
Tell about probably 10 years ago, which I call it the Connor era. That's when strikers, it got cool again. Before that, look at all the champs. They all had fucking wrestling bases. Is it still the best base to do martial arts? Well, yeah, if you're from the United States.
Wrestling, 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Well, did you hear about DC taking all of his students at his high school to, they were taking it to, he took them all to Dagestan.
Ooh.
High schoolers took them all to Dagestan. Absolutely insane, dude.
That is crazy.
So, then at what point did it proceed to where Pride then became the promotion for a while to go to?
Okay, so here's the deal. The first Pride event was in 1997. Okay. He can look that up.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We'll check it. Yeah. I believe you.
I mean, it is.
Say it with confidence.
It is. I'm pretty sure it was 97. Right?
Okay.
And when you had Takeda,
the first Pride event
versus Hickson.
Takeda versus Hickson.
Yes. Pride and Prejudice. Sakuraba plays like.
Oh yeah, there you go. First
Mr.
date.
Darby.
October 11th, 1997.
And it was Takeda versus Hickson.
Takeda versus Hickson. Okay, when was the first UFC event?
1993, November.
Holy shit. And so did the old owners of the UFC basically ruin it that's why everyone wanted to go over Pride, or why was everyone in Pride for
Because the Japanese pumped a bunch of fucking money into it. The Yakuza did. That's why overnight it disappeared, because they lost all of their deals, and that's why they got sold to the UFC for $10 million.
So they were the Saudi Arabians in the late 90s. Just
Yakuza
funneling money.
Anyway.
Funneling money. Saudi Arabian money.
Just crooked shit, man. Just crooked shit. And if you were a legit organization or a television broadcast deal, you didn't want to have anything to do with the Yakuza over in Asia. There's no way. Not over in Japan. That's a black mark, dude. That's like being a Bloods and Crips member times 20.
So, off the top of your head, the people who fought in the UFC and then went over to Pride, do you know any big names that came back over?
Yeah.
Like who survived
Josh
UFC?
Barnett. Josh Barnett
went to UFC to Pride back.
Josh Barnett and Overeem are prime examples, because here's why. Okay. Strike Force picked up after where Pride left off with a lot of their heavyweights, and in fact, it's on paper, because they had Fabricio Verdum. There was another guy. He was in the UFC. He only did 2 fights. He lost to Saganu. He lost to Junior Dos Santos. That was his last fight in the UFC. Boom, goes over to Strikeforce, right? And then becomes, beats Fedor. And they tap him. Hey, he's going to be the next champ. And then look what he ends up doing. He beats Kane when he gets over in the UFC.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Strikeforce, and if you watch some of those earlier events or those later events before they end up having the UFC swallow them, there's gold there. Like, one of the best performances I'd ever seen wrestling was Josh Barnett versus DC, and DC just wrestled him the whole time. And he didn't make it a secret, grab a singlet, but he ended up striking with him too. And Barnett's a bad dude. Like, he took catch wrestling and did whatever a man could do with catch wrestling.
Yep.
Which catch wrestling's obviously a different base, because you're using more of your upper body than you're using your whole, like your back and stuff like jiu-jitsu as a pulley system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a little
more lot of locks, a lot of upper
Greco-Roman-esque.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
Huh. Okay, so they come back, and then what was the end of Pride? What was the reason that Pride disbanded?
The Yakuza. Because they found out, the Yakuza's funneling in all of these money. They would have Yakuza members sliding checks and stuff to fighters.
So, money behind the table?
Oh, of course, tons.
And so why was that an issue? Because if the money was coming...
Because it looks bad for the Yakuza to be in cooperation with a fight organization. Then, once the general public gets a hold of it... Because, again, this is worse than, like, the Bloods and the Crips, especially in the time period of, like, criminal organization. You can't have... That would be like the mafia getting tied to the NFL.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
And then
it was huge, man. They filled like the super arena, over 100,000 people almost. God. That's insane. Like at least 70,000-80,000 people.
Yeah.
For like Vanderlei versus Mirko Cro Cop. It was huge.
And then obviously the allegations. That was a big part, right, of them fixing fights.
And it was all kinds of stuff. And it was pretty obvious, some of these Pride fights that looked pretty like,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, why is this happening? Because they wanted, even a dude like Sakuraba, who, I love Kazushi Sakuraba. He started out in like 1996, right? In the same tournament that Tank Abbott started out in. This dude fought up until like 2010.
Wow.
So this dude fought from 1995 to 2010.
Holy fuck.
And we're talking a guy that probably walked around about 185 pounds, and we're fighting heavyweights. Beat up Conan Silveira.
That just wasn't abnormal back then.
Or not Conan Silveira, but it was a Silveira. That's who he beat in his UFC. He's a UFC. Everybody says there's never been an Asian champion in the UFC. Yeah, there was. It was Kazushi Sakuraba. He was the first heavyweight champion, and he was a Japanese champion.
Yeah.
So that was him.
So do you remember pretty clearly the transition when you stopped watching Pride because of all that? And do you remember the first UFC events?
I started watching. I was a tough noob, is how it started. I started watching Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. I watched the first season of it, and that's when I went, oh my God. And then there was this guy at the tattoo shop I was working at that would come visit my boss all the time who was really into Pride. He's like, if you like this stuff, you need to watch this. So I started YouTubing and looking at results and stuff for that kind of shit and started watching. I went, oh my God, these are like superheroes fighting each other. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And the entrances and stuff were so anime-esque. So me being a 2-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid watching this stuff who grew up loving Japanese animation. You know, my dad's Korean. You know, my dad was a huge Bruce Lee fan. You know, we grew up just watching every kind of martial arts you can think of, movies and stuff. When we'd like stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching those tournaments, those Paul Mitchell tournaments. Why the fuck does Paul Mitchell have anything to do with fucking karate? Apparently everything, because those are all straight up just like, they're all like brought to you by Paul Mitchell. That dude has angelic, like Christ-like hair. So it's no shortness of thinking that guy couldn't do just a beautiful fucking axe kick out of nowhere too. Just bang, and just like cuts off half this lady's fucking bangs out of nowhere.
So it wasn't on your radar, the UFC initially?
Yo, it was. That's how I started with the UFC as a tough dude. I remember watching the first parts of the first UFC event on a news broadcast in like Kansas City 9 or 5 back in 1993.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when Pride pops up, what I'm trying to get at is because I wasn't there. I wasn't a fan yet.
Right.
You know, I would have been, I don't know how fucking old, maybe 5, I guess.
Right.
So when you say that all these allegations, you know, with the Japanese mafia, and it starts to come to a conclusion, and a lot of people...
A lot of those guys... Okay, so this is what happened. A lot of those guys got picked up by Dream. Some of those guys got picked up by Dream.
Oh, I forgot about Dream.
That's why Overeem's the old Dream heavyweight champion. He's the last heavyweight champion in Dream. That's where they did Mark Hunt versus Melvin Manhoof, which I've never seen a man knock somebody out the way I saw Melvin Manhoof knock out Mark Hunt. You should watch it.
I've seen it, but we should play that.
It's
That's a disgusting
insane.
knockout.
It looks like a man crashing his head in a fucking car crash, dude.
God, it's disgusting.
Oh, I mean, Melvin Manhoof was just a destroyer back then, dude.
Yeah.
And even up until, I mean, he was still taking Bellator fights at 170.
I think he fought a couple years ago, man. It might have even been less.
40s,
yeah.
Yes. He's doing like fights in Japan again, I think, just like these different awards and stuff. And you're like, how does this guy have enough brain cells left to do this stuff?
I don't know.
Fucking Mark Hunt.
Oh, Mark Hunt.
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, he was the first heavyweight champion, but it wasn't tournament format.
Okay.
Sakuraba was a UFC
this knockout
heavyweight
right
champion
here.
in tournament
Yeah,
format.
here we go. This one's absolutely insane.
I had Coleman in there.
I
was watching ads.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Dude, what a
Just
monster.
destroys him. Could you imagine being across from either one of those guys? There was this guy on this mixed martial arts forum that used to draw all these cartoons.
Yeah, let's see it one more
Of
time.
Mark
yeah.
Hunt, of like him like fixing him dinner and shit like that.
Left hook, right overhand,
Oh, yeah.
and follows up with about 6
But it was
unnecessary
just like
shots.
that left that he caught him with. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's a different type of man right there.
You think
Boom.
Mark Hunt was ever on the sauce?
Mark?
I don't personally think so.
If he did, he wasn't doing very good with it because the dude, you can tell people that are on him and people that are not.
Uh-huh.
For example, let's go with there was Mark Hunt versus Bigfoot Silva, the first one. Did you see that one?
I know of the fight.
That's
yeah.
That's probably one of the top.
That's
3.
in Pride, right?
No.
That was
it's
in the UFC?
It was like 2012, 13. And I mean, that fight was crazy. And then they did it again later, and Mark Hunt just destroyed him because Bigfoot wasn't on the gas anymore.
Did Mark Hunt fight both the Silvas, Big and Little Nog?
Vanderlei and yeah,
Okay, yeah.
because he fought Vanderlei in Pride.
Oh man, So when they came back to Pride disbanded, so some people went to Dream, and then some people went to Strike Force, because Strike Force was the leading organization, right? For a while, prior to the new owners taking over
of the UFC,
the Fertitta brothers.
No, after 2006, the UFC with the Tough, because it was the rise of Tough that pretty much helped. Because before that, the UFC was in competition with Pride, but it was a different level. They would have their fighters come over. That's why you had stuff like Chuck Liddell go over there and fight.
Yeah.
And that was when Dana was still just a manager. He had not taken over the UFC yet.
So he was involved with the UFC prior to becoming the owner?
Yeah. He was a manager.
Wow.
He was Chuck and Tito's manager.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. Dana, he's done. Yeah.
Hands in the game forever.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you can say what you want about that guy, but the dude's a genius.
Yeah. Josh Barnett, Daniel Cormier both came out of Strike Force.
Yeah. But again, Barnett started out in the UFC, got caught for juicing, gets fired. They stripped the belt from him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 02. And it was either 01, 02. And then he goes over to Pride. Well, they were supposed to do Fedor versus Barnett. And they never got that deal done because, boom, the Yakuza got, folded it. Then Donald Trump got in with this other fight promotion called Elite XC. And this was like 2009, 2010. And they put on 3 cards. One of them was Arlovsky versus Fedor. They were trying to do Barnett versus Fedor, but it never got done because Barnett popped again. He's popped like 4 times, which who gives a fuck, right? If that's what you want to do, whatever.
Yeah, but get better at hiding.
Oh,
I mean, get
that would
fucking
be like
better.
me going, I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Go in your car and drink in your car, and then put in a fucking Altoid or a peppermint.
Right.
You know,
Give us the allure
I
that
mean-
you are trying to hide the fact that you are a behemoth alcoholic. Noah, and I'm just joking.
how many horse meat stories have we heard? I know 2. Alistair and Canelo both have given us the horse meat story.
Rachmaninoff doesn't hide it.
I mean, yeah. Can we fucking just have some honesty for a moment?
Yeah.
It's just
you
crazy.
Know what? I took it, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Which I've heard that happen before, too. This is straight. I didn't know what was in it, because they had such a weird list of USADA shit.
Yeah. I mean, the way Gordon Ryan approaches it is the best way I've ever seen anyone in martial arts approach, just admitting, like, yeah, I train 365 days a year, and you just can't keep it in your fucking throat today, dude.
Oh, I know.
No homo. My God, all over your shirt.
Oh, shit, more? Good
Jesus,
Lord.
he's got a hole in his tongue.
God.
Hey, cheers, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Oh, man.
Watch all the shit I said I just completely made it up. There's no factual.
Hey, you've got some of the years correct, so we'll believe it from here on out.
I'm not phone a friend guy for MMA events. I've just seen so many fights, guys. I've seen so many guys. That's how I fall asleep, was watch the old UFC catalog.
Anytime I need information, you're the first guy I go to.
Well, it's just such a fascinating history of the sport that you're just like, it just sticks out to me. You know what I mean? When you're a fan, it's hard not to see where it came from and where it's at now. You know what I mean? We're not, again, gouging people in the testicles and, having some dude that just, judged a karate tournament do your fight,
Yeah.
It's close, though.
The ever-changing landscape is so quick.
Yeah.
The way it's been turning over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, like, people like Volkanovski, like, the way that that way that guy throws his combinations is just ridiculous.
Yeah. His ability to feint, to me, is the most impressive thing. And maybe not even feint, but stay. Yeah. I don't know. Sean Strickland, he feints a lot, but Sean brings a whole nother thing to the ball game. I mean, he's one of the 2. I'm trying to think of another good one, but him and Dustin Poirier use the Philly shell, and they use it without incident.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they're not, even when they're okay. So when Strickland uses the shell, right?
Yeah,
it looks like he's not really parrying that much because so much stuff catches him on the shoulders.
He parries a lot too.
I know, but it looks like he's not.
Right.
I know he is. I know, but his movements are so slight and subtle that it doesn't look like he's doing it. You know how you like watch like an anime where like a Dragon Ball where like just like they'll do like an after image of like that much, and then it reminds me of that, of just like, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. I've just never, it's so fun. That's like when you see a guy that throws crazy kicks. It's so fascinating to you, even though if it's one of those things where you're like, well, this won't work again. But it's fascinating because you don't see it all the time, and you don't see people successfully use the Philly shell and parry. Like, Poirier's more head movement, definitely. He uses the Philly shell, but he uses a lot of head movement.
Right.
But the way Strickland does it is so unique. I mean, but I think in general, seeing some guy go out on the highest level and walk down an opponent in the Philly shell is fucking awesome, dude.
It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy because he's just using 1 and 2s to do the damage too.
Yeah.
The fundamentals. And it's just like, just straight 1-2s and he's doing that. And you're like, precision beats whatever, like that timing is just, of course, he's not throwing a lot of looping punches. He's just doing pretty quick 1-2s. And it's just like, dude, that dude has got literally, and after the Pereira fight even, and really it wasn't even the Pereira fight, it was after he got a bunch of shit for the loss to what's his name,
someone Strickland lost to?
Yeah. It was
at 185.
Yeah, the dude used to fight at heavyweight. Jared Cannonier.
He didn't lose to Cannonier, did he?
Yeah.
He did. Really?
Yeah, he did. It was close, but he lost to him.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thinking, well, why? If I was Cannonier, I would be just praying for a title shot. Hey, I'm here, guys. Because I really do think Cannonier deserves another one. After those 2 fights with Vettori, I mean, that just shows you how stacked, that division is. I mean, he pieced up Vettori. I've never seen anybody mess him up like that. He's just too tough for his own good.
My thing, man, is like, I don't know, because if you showed me all of Strickland's fights before he won the title, and you were like, hey, man, what do you think? Not that I'm an expert, but like I've seen a fuckload of fights, and I also train. I would be like, oh, you just got to leg kick that guy.
Right.
And then he goes in there and fights arguably the best kickboxer.
Yes.
The fucking king of kickboxing, man. And he loses and makes he doesn't lose. Sorry, Israel loses. Yes. And Strickland makes it look easy.
That's
using
because
all
his
boxing.
1-2s are just that, just new. You know how like you play a video game and you fight a boss and you know that if there's like a certain rhythm and cadence that you have to push these buttons. It was like he was dialed in like that. Mm-hmm. It was like watching somebody seriously play a video game.
Yeah.
It was crazy because those 1-2s were just that quick. And you're like, and they were so fucking sneaky too.
Yeah. So how do you fix this problem? What can you do? You have to wrestle him, but he's got a great ground game as far as getting up, negating.
Plus, not only that,
defense.
The dude's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. The dude is a legit. He's submitted like a few guys at 170.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's really the champion that we need. He's the working man's man.
Mm-hmm. So who's next for him? Who do you think they lay him up with?
Well, they put him with Duplexi. I don't know who. I think Drixus is just a tough, hard-nosed type of fighter. But when you get to this point, I think Strickland still got his number. I really do. Just because, man, his striking's just a different level. If it was before I saw that performance, I'd probably say, well, Drixus could probably muscle him through that. That technique is just so crisp. It goes past. I don't. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to get a hold of him to grapple with him. And I think that's what's going to happen, is that Drixus, even though he's mainly a kickboxer himself, has relied more on his grappling in his recent fights because he's trying to, big brother people.
Yeah.
He did to, Robert Whittaker. I think he's going to try to do that with Strickland. And I think Strickland's just going to 1-2 him. Just pop him up, 1-2 him. And it may be a 5-round decision that may be boring of just him sliding in and out and just 1-2ing him to death. But I think that's who's going to win that fight.
I can't imagine it's going to be boring because Dricus du Plessis, I mean, he's not a guy that ever slows down.
No, he's not. But
I think he will go after the finish the entire time.
But this is what's crazy about that is the style of fighting that Strickland has makes you fucking tired.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think du Plessis is going to gas.
I think du Plessis has an incredible tank, though.
It is, but it's
one of the highest level tanks we've ever seen.
But it's going to be a different level when you're fighting a guy that's making you miss like that. You know, that's making you like overextended, making you just. I mean, that's tiring.
Oh, absolutely, and you're looking across, and he's using minimal energy. And he's standing straight up, using his shoulder.
Yeah, and that's also gotta be just like defeating of just seeing this guy just standing like that after you're sitting there just doing whatever you can to get him down.
Say Dricus wins the fight. What does that mean about Izzy? You can't do MMA math, but does that mean anything about Izzy?
No.
It doesn't in your head?
Izzy could have had an off night. Do I think that if they fought again that Strickland would win? I think it would be closer, but I do think that Strickland would have the ability to repeat that performance, of course. But I also think that Izzy's so good that you can't beat him twice.
So,
unless you're you get what I'm saying.
So part of you in your head right now thinks that if Izzy and Sean fought again, you might see Sean just had the best night of his life. And Izzy might come up victorious.
Well, I think it's a lot to be said for being a champion, too, because that gives you 10 extra bonus points in the first place just by being the champion. Your balls are going to be bigger.
Right.
You're the fucking champ.
Yeah, and coming off, it's not like his confidence was hurt. He was coming off the biggest knockout win of his life going into that fight.
Exactly. Like they were both on a mountain. I think what it was is I think Izzy needed another 2 months before he took that fight. Is what I think.
Yeah.
I think if he would have had 2 more months, it would have been a better fight. Do I still think Strickland would have won? Yes, but I do think it would be a lot closer just because I think that who would have thought that Strickland would have came out there and just thrown straight 1-2s like that? Who would have thought that? You know what I mean? Who would have thought that he would have
What did you think he was going to do?
I thought he was going to put a singlet on and just
wrestle
try to and just try to just wear on him. On the cage.
I don't think I've ever seen
earlier
from the cage. Yeah, but I don't think I've ever seen him shoot a single or a double.
No, he doesn't. It's all from the cage. I thought I was just going to see him wear on him, and he didn't do that. And that's when I went, this guy knows something that we don't know. Because anybody, I would tell you to crowd Izzy. I would tell you to crowd Izzy against the cage. Because how did he get lost? How did he lose? Got crowded against the cage and got it. That's how I would tell you, is to crowd that guy against the cage and don't get him kicking space. You have to keep him at boxing range.
Right. And so another thing, too, is like when you look at it, if they were going to rematch, and again, this is just from my dumb brain, but so there's like plans that you have to implement to win a fight. And then there's people say it all the time. What's really, really, really fascinating about mixed martial arts is the number one thing that makes you good, in my personal opinion, is cardio.
It is.
Cardio is the number one weapon.
Of course.
And then 2, honestly, it's the ability to adapt and change a game plan and not get sedentary, especially with how long the rounds are.
So
you have the ability to adapt as far as the time constraints go, and you need to be able to adapt.
The best game plan modification that I'd ever seen in a fight was Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes.
Yes.
And the way that he came out in that second round and completely switched his stances up, I was like, there's a reason why this guy is a triple champ. There's a reason why this guy is a gold medalist. Because I've never seen anybody do that standing like that. You know, just change styles and be that fluid standing like that. And not be a striker already in the first place. Even like Wonder Boy, you know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
You know he's got, he doesn't change different positions, he's got a real narrow,
which makes what he does so special, because Wonder Boy's not going to come out and shoot a double.
No,
he can't. It's not in his arsenal, and yet he's in the top fucking 5 consistently winning against world champions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at his kickboxing performance. He never lost.
But think about how, if I knew exactly what you were going to do with absolutely no doubt, I knew what you were going to do. That's what you get when you face Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Yeah. So you can, like, Hamzat, let's just use him as an example because he's good everywhere. Like, he's a fucking killer. I'm not saying he's a world-class striker if he had to go in a kickboxing tournament. I think he could win, but
I mean, I think he's the most versatile
He is a killer.
Most well-rounded.
I think his ground game is an 8. His striking is an 8. I think everything he does is an 8.
I think his ground game is more of a 10.
Okay, but just for example. But that's so hard to train for one of those guys because you could spend the entire camp developing a game plan.
And then
in 1 second, yes, they could come out of the gate and switch their stances and not do what you think they're going to do. And now, but Wonderboy.
I think that's what happened with the Colby fight. I think that Colby saw something he didn't like, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't take any chances.
Yeah. Well, dude, I texted you guys this during that fight when they were walking out, and man, Colby Covington walked over to Donald Trump as he's doing his walkout, stood on the side of the cage, and basically told, I don't know for word, but told the president, like, I'm going to go win this fight for you. And then walked into the cage after talking shit on Colby's murdered father, or on Leon's murdered father. Man, when you put that pressure on you, there's not a lot of guys that are going to live up to. Dude, that pressure is so high level.
When you go to a former president of the United States and say, I'm going to win this one for you, you might as well just promise. You know what I mean? You might as well go to Leonardo DiCaprio or so, you know what I mean? Like, hey,
tell
buddy,
him you're going to outact him.
Right. Dude, what's going on? But still, it just lets me know that Colby already has a transition for what he's doing. He's going to sit there and pick off fringe top 10 guys now and just talk shit and get paid tons of money to do it. And I don't blame him.
Or he shows you that he has the skills to be the world champion as he showed in the last 2 rounds. He can easily take Leon down and he can easily win the fight.
I don't think he wants that
in the right situation.
I don't think he wants that kind of pressure on himself.
I think
he's going to take a fringe top 10 guys and pick them off.
I
think the Ian Garys and those guys, he's going to cool them off.
When you take that much heat and you talk that much shit and you make that many fucking promises, it's hard to take a single punch, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And so his style, though, is taking punishment to get to where he needs to go. And for 3.5 rounds, he refused to take any punishment because of the psychological game that he employed.
Right.
So Colby has options.
So you're telling me that he psyched himself out?
100%, that is my belief that he psyched himself the fuck out.
What's the difference between him saying whatever to whoever? It's all trash talking. It's all over the line shit, man.
Way over the line, honestly.
I know, but it's all over the line. It's not, talking shit about somebody's kids is over the line. It's all over the line, man.
Yeah.
It's all unprofessional. It's all shitty. You know what I mean? But it's just like this. At the end of the day, here's the deal. We all didn't get therapy. You know what I mean? We all have a different view on reality than everybody else. So let's say me and whoever we're going to fight, it would bring a different aesthetic level if somebody said something about my father who had maybe just passed away or whatever, of course. But at the same time, I know well enough to know, wait a minute, this guy didn't grow up with me and my dad. This guy's just saying crazy shit right now. He's just trying to say. That's how I know that I think I would have had the psychological advantage because this guy's getting so desperate that he's saying stupid ass shit.
I love it. I agree 100%. It doesn't really matter if you're Leon. Like, there's going to be very limited things at that high level.
He beat himself with that compliment.
He did. Because he knows every step he took out of there, getting up from that chair, leaving the press conference, walking there, every single step he took, it was in his head now that he's committed.
Yeah.
He's committed to this idea that he's going to win this fight, and if he doesn't, he's going to be ridiculed.
And listen, one of the reasons why he also probably took the fight the way he did is because you're jacked up in your head where you think, oh, fuck, I talked all this shit. I'm going to knock this motherfucker out. You get what I'm saying? There's a certain thing that you have in your head. You already thought, hey, I'm going to beat this guy. Then you visualized it. Well, how did you visualize you were going to do it? If you're talking crazy epic shit like that, you already got it in your head. You're going to fucking knock this guy out.
I doubt that was ever in his head. I doubt for a fucking second that Colby Covington ever thought that he could KO Leon
Edwards. Yeah, but that's one of the
Edwards.
reasons why he didn't take any chances at all is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Until second, third, or
it's because you thought part of him thought he could knock him out.
Oh yeah.
Fuck no,
dude. After you gas yourself up like that, you know in your head that you want a movie-esque knockout.
You want it, but he knows better. He knows that he's never knocked anybody out.
Well, of course he hasn't.
His greatest display of striking was against Kamaru because it was such a blood match, or
Yeah, and those guys went literally to the death.
Still to this day, I think that first fight between them was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
Crazy.
Amazing.
It was wild.
But, wow, dude. Hey, let's get fired up before we continue.
What's that?
Want some smelling salts?
You're fucking with me. Is that really smelling salts?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me try it.
John Ott, this is for you, buddy. John Ott, yep, strength. Wake the fuck up, smelling salts. Here you go.
Oh my! Oh, sweet Carolina!
Oh, he got in there.
That's like taking a straight hit from a fucking cat box, bro. Oh lordy!
Yes.
Oh my god! No, but yeah, that's what Overeem and fucking Melvin Manhoof got. Those guys do. That's how they can fucking fight for so long. They blast some fucking cat urine before they fucking roll into the ring.
Yeah, man, that could make your average dad wearing New Balances put up 225 once.
Oh yeah, easily. I had like horrible flashbacks of cleaning out my cat box. Who has 3 cats? And let me tell you, I clean that fucking cat box out every 3 days religiously. That's the last thing I need is it for it to look like an episode of goddamn Hoarders at my fucking house. You get what I'm saying? Oh, we had 6 cats. Well, how come 3 of them are fucking dead in this pile of newspaper?
Yeah, it's from the poisoning of... Oh, man. All right, dude. Tell me about it. How the fuck is this going to play out here? Because we've got a couple situations on our hands that could make for the most exciting year of all time.
I think 2024 is going to be the biggest grossing year to date for the UFC, and here's why. I really do think that them merging with TKO, they're going to start doing more. They're keeping them as separate entities because they're already making money. They're going to start getting more desperate with the WWE, though, because the WWE is not doing nearly as good as the UFC.
The WWE is weird. I really, truly feel like it's kind of... it goes in such waves.
It is.
Do you agree?
But it's like 5 to 10 year cycles is what it goes into usually.
I don't think it's hit a high tide since Ronda.
No.
I really don't. No, I can't remember the last, and this is coming from I don't watch professional wrestling.
It's been about 4 or 5 years. And actually what really killed it is that sexual allegation stuff with Vince McMahon.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, that's from what I heard of it. That's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, we should." I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know.
What did you hear?
Well, I just heard there was a bunch of people, like a bunch of ladies that were saying, "Hey, this guy."
Like professional wrestler ladies.
I don't know if they were wrestlers or if it people that worked with him, like I don't know.
But it was a Hollywood type thing. Sure. Like, hey, we'll give you this if you blow me in the back room.
I don't even know the details of that. I'm sure it is kind of like a weird power dynamic thing that got brought in. So that's the only thing I can think of. I don't have enough information to comment on it either way because
You want to close those YouTube videos there, buddy? No.
Yeah, so that's what's going on. But apparently that's a pretty big black eye on the old stock market.
Vince McMahon, World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE longtime leader, allegedly paid out millions in hush money to a former female wrestler with whom he had a coercive sexual relationship and who was allegedly not brought back to the WWE after spurring further sexual advances from the executive, aka Vince McMahon, according to a report published Friday by the Wall Street Journal. So go back up. I want to see the numbers there. Down.
Let's check into it, Eddie.
McMahon allegedly, go up one paragraph, that second one there. A man allegedly paid out $7.5 million to the former wrestler.
What wrestler was this?
Well, that's what I'm looking. Coerced her into giving him oral sex, demoted her, and then decided not to renew her contract. I mean, to me, that sounds like it must have been a shitty blowjob then.
Nice.
I'm just kidding, guys. I mean, that's...
I can't compliment on it either way. What are you trying to get me shot? Anyway.
Yeah,
I live with 2 women, motherfucker. I'm not trying to get beat up.
No, and yeah, I'm just being funny, but that is... I mean, I wonder because name a woman wrestler that stayed for a while because you won't. So to me, it's just kind of like I obviously this definitely probably happened, but I'm just saying that I know about 3 wrestlers that have been there since the get-go. And Ronda Rousey was the only star, so I mean, if you don't have it, they're not going to renew
within
you.
the last 10 years, of course.
I'm just saying, if I had a gun to my head and I was in court, I can almost guarantee you that they didn't renew her contract, and then she cleaved the $7.5 million.
I don't know. I'm not.
I don't know.
Admit
it, dude.
I'm not admitting anything because I wasn't there, man. I don't know.
It.
I know that I'm not going to be a dickhead to somebody if I don't know all the facts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to cast judgment if I wasn't there. So you get what I'm saying? Anybody could say somebody was a rapist.
But it doesn't say anything about forcing her.
Well, but you get this is what I'm getting at. Anybody could say anybody was a sexual predator or sexually manipulated somebody. All you need is words to say that. You don't have to have things back people up nowadays.
Hey, how old is Vince McMahon? I think he's 78.
He's 80s.
Yeah, I think he's almost 80.
I think he's like 83 or something. Or 84. 85.
Yeah, let's go to his net worth, too. 78.
Okay.
Damn, I'm on it. 2.7 billion USD. Wow. Incredible. It probably he takes care of himself. He's on everything under the sun, which I think he said out loud,
I was watching that Dark Side of the Ring.
I haven't seen
Oh,
that.
my God, dude. It's so good. And I was watching this episode that had Animal and Hawk, and those guys were from they were the guys that wore the huge football pads with the spikes on them. The Legion of Doom, right, is what they were called. And they had, like, the cool makeup. They were badass, man.
Yeah.
But they had horrible, like most wrestlers in the 80s, had horrible drug habits. And Hawk later died, rest in peace, of a substance use disorder, of an overdose. So
yeah.
It's unfortunate. Well, actually, he had gotten clean, but his body was just so wrecked from... Could you imagine being a fucking wrestler?
No.
Being a fighter's bad, but a wrestler, because you're putting your body in a car crash every fucking night.
Well, and that dude, they were one of the first people that were able to abuse the system of essentially pill mills.
Oh, of course.
Because they had a fuckload of money.
These pain clinics, dude, back in the late 90s, early 2000s with these commercials. Come to the blah, 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 blah. Back in Pain Center. They were pill mills.
Well, and this was before digital health records were a thing. And I've heard lots of people on some mainstream podcasts talk about when you're in a new city every night, it was so easy to go down the street and be like, hey, yeah, I've never had a script for this. Is it cool? Is it, and then bam, you got 30 Rocks a set 30s, man.
Wouldn't it be cool? I wish that we, like, barbiturates were still popular and shit. I would have already been dead from eating them. For real. Would have died at 25.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he had a good time, but this motherfucker.
Oh, God. So, I think that PFL buying Bellator, regardless of what Dana White wants to say.
It's good.
It's good. It's real good.
Here's why it's good. I'm telling you, there's an antitrust fucking lawsuit getting ready to rear its ugly head pretty soon. It looks real good that the UFC doesn't look like a monopoly right now. If they went and bought Bellator, you're adding levity to you being a monopoly. So, of course, you're not going to touch it.
Yeah. Whatever happened, we were talking on the phone a few weeks back about that original group of people that made the
Dylan
union.
Shaw and...
they tried to make the union.
Jan, what's his name? Bjorn
Jens
Rebney.
Pulver?
Yeah, and Bjorn Rebney was part of it. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video of Jens Pulver getting elected in the Hall of Fame and he's streaming live on Twitch?
And he's like crying.
And he's crying.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's not tears of happiness. It's like tears of just like confirmation that, it's obviously happiness.
The dude had a lot of trauma in his life.
Yeah. And it was really sad to watch. It made me happy for him, but part of it I could tell there was like some very deep-seated hatred towards his career. What was it?
It's a little evil documentary. You should watch it.
That's what it's called?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure. And it's all about his childhood, how he grew up. His dad was horrible to him. He's such a good dad in this. I don't know. The guy could beat his kids up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think he does that. I'm pretty sure that would have came out or something. But it's just like a really cool documentary. I've also really wanted to watch that one documentary about that bipolar guy, Mauro Ranallo. He's bipolar as fuck.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, the dude's got like a photographic memory.
Yeah.
And so he's just nutty, you know? So there's
what
like
platform
this documentary.
is that documentary?
Showtime.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you had Paramount, you could probably watch it on Paramount.
Yeah.
I imagine.
I can't imagine, man, that dude, the guys in PFL right now, when you hang that carrot of winning the $1 million,
yeah.
to
that's not a lot of money in nowadays.
When now you realize like there's incredible fighters at the highest level that could win in the UFC, maybe not be champions, but at least win, and they might be a champion. Some of those people are smart enough now and able to manipulate the game enough to where they're real athletes, man, and they know how to win. Like I said, adaptability, and they're gonna know like, dude, I can set my family up because you win $1 million a couple times.
Then you can invest it certain ways, and you could have generational wealth.
Or you can go to the UFC and fight for $10,000 to show and $10,000 to win, and take a fucking pulvering, dude.
Oh, I know.
You know,
just bleeding at fucking Dana White's Contender Series.
That is one thing that is so fucking crazy to me.
I love those Tuesday night fights. It's my favorite night of the week, dude.
The Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is the #1 fucking show.
Oh.
On planet Earth.
It's
if people
incredible.
watch that, I don't think they would fucking believe it. And you do have to know they're getting these guys to fight for, I think they make like, I think they do 10. Yeah, I do think they make 10 and 10 now. But holy shit, man. These guys are fighting.
Every one of them's like ONE FC fights. Because my dad, dude, I turned my dad on to ONE FC. My dad's like hooked on it. Now all my dad does is go to the garage, chain smoke weed, and fucking watch ONE FC. He's like, God, Josh, you go, man, I watched this one guy. Well, what's his name? Super Lick? And I'm like, yeah, Super Lick, Dad.
Dude. ONE FC's great. Man, it's kind of saturated now, so I don't think that antitrust lawsuit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know?
It's not going to hold that much weight. And if you think about it, the UFC's smart enough. They want those companies to be around.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen.
100%.
Right. It's like having sharks in an ecosystem and smaller amounts of fish.
What do you think about them disclosing all their pays as part of this lawsuit? And there was
the UFC?
And they obviously hush money. This is what's stupid to me, because the whole ordeal was, for people who might be curious, is that this whole lawsuit was basically saying that people were making a lot more money than they were leading on.
Right.
And there was some allegations that, like, let's say me and you fight in the UFC, Josh, and they paid me $30,000 to show and you $30,000 to show. There's a win bonus, generally speaking, usually, unless you're a pay-per-view guy, and then you get pay-per-view points. But it's usually it's money to show and money to win is generally how it's done. Or your manager's good and negotiates you a higher flat fee, but then, then you might make less. I mean, you could have won 100 to show, 100 to win, but you're like, I'd rather just take 120.
Well, that's why you got guys that are older fighters on these contracts who will sit there and you'll still get a decision out of them. Remember there for a while.
No shot. No shot.
Remember there for a while it was Dolby by decision. It was always Dolby by decision and split decisions and shit.
But anyway, he was
always doing it. But
I was just gonna say
those guys that are fighting that, you know what I mean? That once they're getting 20,000, they want their 20. They would rather have an extra win bonus instead of getting fight of the night.
Yeah,
because they know how to win and how to adapt.
But I think, truthfully, when they said that, basically the whole lawsuit though was basically trying to say, so we fight, we agree to the numbers that we're gonna make, and then Dana White pulls you backstage and says, "Hey, Josh, here's."
Oh yeah. Oh, there's definitely Dana's backroom bonus.
Obviously, that was happening, but then people were so stupid that they thought that
they should have shut the fuck up.
Well, for one, they ruined it for the rest of the people.
They really did ruin it for the rest of the people.
But two, the public thought that this lawsuit was basically going to get them to admit that they were doing that, but that money's not fucking reported. It's done there. It's probably done through an S corp. Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, we're donating to your charity," and then in their charity, like, let's say Strickland has no involvement in this, but then Strickland says, "Well, I have a charity that I donate to homeless," and they go, "Okay, well, our S corp is going to give your charity $200,000." But then under his charity, Under the fucking small print, it says we use 83% of this money for the charity and 17% for operations.
Right.
And so then he ends up getting 120 grand of that million or something like that he got under the table. So the antitrust lawsuit comes out and it forces the UFC to disclose. What's wrong?
I'm going to use the restroom really quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right, go for it. Fuck yeah. Dude, so what I was saying was the antitrust lawsuits, they thought, were those Altoids or Oxys?
Oh, barbiturates.
Okay. So the antitrust lawsuit, everyone thought...
Thanks, dead grandma. Appreciate that. Just surfing out of her cabinet.
He's joking.
R.I.P.
Cops.
Yeah.
He's joking.
Anyway, I'm just kidding.
So the antitrust lawsuit is interesting because everybody thought when they had to disclose everybody's actual pay that was going to be the start of, oh, look, we did find the hush money. And they had no problem releasing everybody's pay because the hush money was not in there. And then it looked like, well, here's the problem, though. Then it looked like people were not getting paid very much money, which,
but
again...
they were. It just is unreported. It's a cycle. You get taken care of. Otherwise, UFC fighters wouldn't fight.
Yes. Well, dude, and the thing about the UFC, too, if we're going to talk logistics as far as if it was a clean, like, everything was how it seems.
Nothing's... No, you know what? We don't have all the details.
Yeah, but they're getting paid
Think of
other
how much
types
sponsorship. Exactly.
Like, they're getting, sponsorships.
Exactly.
They're getting ad revenues, I'm sure, from all kinds of shit.
Yes.
Their personal exposure levels are going up phenomenally.
Dude, any fighter that's top 20 could have a stream on Twitch.
Oh, yeah, immediately.
And make enough money that's all they had to do.
If you just had a 10, 15,000 followers, you have enough to collect some ad revenue.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically another income.
Yes, of course.
And then on top of that, you think about the travel that's covered for you, your family. I know they let people stay.
They used to cover 2 cornermen. I don't know if they still, or 3.
I'm sure they cover an entire team now.
Yeah, I think they've changed it since then. It used to be pretty good though. So
yeah,
like I knew a couple fighters when they were doing it back in the day, about 10 years ago. So.
Yeah, I think that there's so much more benefit. Using the PI, having access to actual health care. Because you're a UFC fighter.
That's a game changer. Because if you think about it, I don't know about you, but if I was 22 years old going into the UFC, and I get it, I'm hungry for money, but there's a part of me that's going to go, is my health care going to be paid for when I'm 45?
Yeah. Which it doesn't sound like it is right now. But
well, I do think that's something they eventually need to do like the NFL does. And I think they're making steps towards doing that eventually. You know?
Yeah. And I think the thing is people are ruining it for the rest of the people because everyone wants to talk shit. But, like, oh, they need to give us this, and this. But at the end of the day, man, Dana needs to up the pay.
He
for
does,
sure. And he needs to update the benefit. He needs to be the...
Yeah, but he needs to make being in the UFC more exclusive then.
Yeah. But, I mean, definitely over the recent years, there's been kind of a decline. Maybe not in the caliber, but in the ability to recruit the same caliber people.
Well, that's because after the pandemic, that's really... put a damper on recruiting.
Well, and on top of that, man, one thing that it kind of sucks is the other organizations. As much as they're great for the fighters, they're bad for the UFC.
They are, but they're not because it gives the UFC a way to build up another star without them even being in their organization. For example, Michael Venom Page. That fight with Kevin Holland, dude, that could be fight of the year. Those two. I've always wanted to see MVP in the UFC. I think it should have happened a couple years ago. I'm glad it's happening now, and I think that first fight for him is going to be the stick. If he can get past Kevin Holland, which I wouldn't put past it. I don't know who to pick in that one, but I think Holland has it with the stand-up or with the ground game.
Yeah, if he gets it to the ground, he did a fucking gentleman's agreement with Wonder Boy. If you don't think that he's going to do a gentleman's agreement, I mean, and that's why he's a fan favorite.
That's why his balls are huge. Yeah. Exactly. You got to love him.
I do love him. He's such a cool, fun guy to watch.
Yeah. He's a hell of a dude. When he knocked out fucking Jacare, I went.
Oh, from
remember?
The bottom.
I think we both saw that. We went, holy fuck!
Yeah. Hey,
dude, we've had so many holy shit moments together.
Oh, I was just gonna say, man, we have literally had some of the hardest laughs, the biggest screams. We've watched so many cards together.
Oh, I know,
so many. Yeah, I'll never forget UFC 194. Chad Mendez versus Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, that was huge
for the interim, and the co-main event was
so
Robbie
hammered.
Lawler versus Rory McDonald.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh
we
my
were
God.
So hammered.
And Conor McGregor, that was the first time he came out, and rest in peace,
Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor sang his intro, and then Mendez came out to Country Boy, the cover. It was an epic event. Oh, okay. So if it was 189 then.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, there you go. And I mean, so Conor comes out, he gets wrestle fucked the first round.
Who else was on that card?
Yeah, go down. It was a good card.
Did I have Romero versus Weidman on?
Oh my God, Dennis Bermudez and Jeremy Stevens. Gunnar Nelson, rest in peace. Where'd he go?
Yeah, what did I think
he fought a couple years ago?
He's probably still on the catalog. He probably just hasn't been taking fights.
I think he had a win not too long ago.
He did.
But I remember just thinking, okay, he got found out because everybody's worried about Conor's wrestling.
Dude, Mike Swick had a I forgot that Mike Swick had a comeback. He had, I don't think he had Lyme disease, but he had something going on with his heart. Mike Swick, so he was out of the UFC for a few years and then came back. That's also what's cool about the UFC is they'll give everybody like Weidman. Yeah, right.
That guy was a wash.
Oh, I know, right? UFC, yeah.
Hey, my buddy Zeb, he's got a big fight coming up in LFA in a couple weeks, and the guy he's fighting, his name is hyphenated. It's like Roger something, but his nickname is "Y'all want to see a dead body."
That's pretty good.
Amazing. Oh man, yeah, we've had some great times together, dude.
Oh man,
we've seen a lot of fights.
We need to find another card coming up.
Well, we got the pay-per-view in a couple
weeks.
Well,
yeah, no, I'm talking about we'll go to do live.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we went to St. Louis together.
Yeah. Who'd we go with? Whose dad took us?
It was
crazy.
My buddy Eric. His dad took us, and we convinced him.
Blowing grass the whole time and then blaming it on us. I'm like, and I had a concussion.
Yeah, you had backed into one of those.
Gas pump. I'm the worst driver ever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not worse than our last guest.
Who's your? Oh, John Ott.
John Ott. He started the podcast off and told me that he'd been in 5 car wrecks. None of them were his fault.
I know. I've been in 15, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No.
His were not actually his fault though.
Yeah. There's been about 5 of them that weren't.
Yeah.
And then the other 10 were mine. But I was never under the influence or high whenever I've wrecked a car. I swear.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why I just stay high now when I'm driving, because I'm like, the odds of this happening, there's no way. Right.
I mean, you would think that if you've been in 15 car wrecks, you could just drive however you want, because the chances of getting in 16 car wrecks is pretty.
I'm telling you, dude.
I don't support driving intoxicated or high.
Than fucking, I've crashed more fucking cars than fucking Stevie Wonder, bro. For real. I don't know why they gave me a fucking license. I'm serious. Yeah.
Maybe we need to up the testing.
Oh, they do. They can't let somebody that's on several spectrums try to get, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. Okay, I was going to tell you earlier, a conspiracy I heard about Conor McGregor fight is that he's going to lead Chandler on to believe that it's just basically going to be at their natural weight. And then a couple months before, he's going to tell him he wants it at like 155 or 170.
Oh, and then force him to cut
cut the weight.
He could. That'd be funny. I don't think that's going to happen.
Dude, McGregor's a genius.
He is a genius.
At the end of the day, he's done some very genius things. It's high level. I mean, do you remember when he was wearing Floyd Mayweather, that basketball jersey of the guy who supposedly was sexually involved with his ex-wife?
Yeah.
And nobody even really caught on to it. It took some media outlet to be like, is that what he's wearing? Mm-hmm. He's high level, man. Yeah. Mind game psychologically, and this could be a fucking mind game. This card's coming up on Saturday. And
yeah, that Manuel Kopp. Dude, I
Mateus Nikolai, dude.
I know, but Manuel Kopp, I think, might have his number, dude.
I thought Mateus was the best flyweight on planet Earth.
We had him scouted as a champ. He would have hit champ status by now. He might have 2 more years.
He's
last
a young
fight
guy. He's only a hiccup, man. Big hiccup.
Who did he fight?
He fought.
Was it Royval?
I think it was Royval, and he ended up getting finished.
Rematch? Yeah.
Yeah. But Mateusz Nikolai, dude, speaking of the flyweight division, how insane.
Dude, Pantoja.
How crazy is his cardio? Explain that to me, dude.
I don't get it.
What type of fucking red blood cell therapy Dillashaw shit is he on?
Dude, I don't know what he's doing.
Dude,
I don't know
he
if he's on
came
some
out
kind of Russian program
swinging leather from the first bell.
Fucking 5 rounds.
And then he was basically gassed at the end of the first. He can't do this.
Yeah.
And then did it for 4 more 5-minute rounds.
I think his recovery is what's so crazy.
In the corner?
Yeah.
You think his ability to get back down to baseline?
Oh, yeah. Dude, they say that if you hold your breath and you have somebody put some ice on you, they do it for people that like can't regulate their emotions. It's called the diving technique. You reset your emotion, and it also helps reset your heart rate. Wow. So in the corner next time, if you get a chance when you're in recovery or whatever, you just did a round or whatever in the gym,
hold your breath and put the ice on your cheek.
7 seconds, then 5 seconds, 3 seconds, corner.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Because it makes you feel like you're underwater, so it slows your heart rate down.
I don't know if they did that or gave him a heart transplant in the corner real quick.
Or he's just gassed.
That was probably the most incredible cardio I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that next to Merab Dvalishvili. I mean.
That and Kane versus JDS 3.
Oh, yeah.
That was the sickest cardio I've ever seen on a heavyweight.
Yeah. Speaking of Cain Velasquez, I wanted to ask you earlier, have you heard anything about that situation?
You know what?
He's out of jail.
Yeah, he's not doing any more jail time.
You don't think that he's going to do any more time for killing that guy who allegedly got involved with his kid?
He's not dead. That guy's not dead. They're not dead. Nobody's dead in that.
The guy didn't die?
No.
Look up Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, dude. It was his dad. It was his
legal status.
It was his dad that got shot. The dude, sex offender. His dad.
The sex offender's dad got shot?
Got shot because Kane just opened up on the family.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't pass away?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I thought the guy... Oh, attempted murder. On February 28th, 2022, Velasquez allegedly shot a man. I mean, if he stays out of prison, we got to figure out who his lawyers are.
Oh, for sure.
Because the guy was only... I mean, obviously, it was probably happening.
Yeah.
You know? But... The guy, it wasn't like the guy was convicted. It wasn't like they ended up showing us like supreme proof of what the guy was supposedly doing to Velasquez's daughter or son. Oh, it was his son's daycare. Gulatar was later released from custody on personal reconnaissance bond. Yeah, pulled out his firearm and shot a man through the window, hit the man's stepfather. God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, he did some time in jail until they were able to make his bond.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna stay out of prison for decades if he goes. They're gonna just. They're just gonna keep continuing it and continuing it.
Velasquez's lawyer Mark Garagos, presented 37 letters of support for Velasquez from people such as Dana White, Habib Nurmagomedov, Fabricio Verdum, Kelvin Gastelum, Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier, Kung Lee, Islam Makhachev, and Scott Coker. He was granted continuance until May 6th for a plea hearing. In May 6th plea hearing, the second continuance was granted, pushing the hearing back to June 10th. Denied bail a second time. Reckless disregard for human life. June 10th, a third continuance was requested by both parties due to the discovery issues, and after being accepted by the prosecutor, the hearing was rescheduled for June 30th. On July 20th, Velasquez's attorney filed a petition in the 6th District Court of Appeal asking him to be immediately released on bond or expedited hearing in the Superior Court. So August 5th, the hearing pleaded not guilty.
Yeah, he's free now.
I know. I'm looking to see when he finally got out. Let me stop right there.
Well, he hasn't. He's still
Velasquez,
out on bond.
Right, but when on December 3rd participated in
the Lucha Libre event in Arizona,
which is what?
AAA Lucha. It's a wrestling event.
Wow. That's fucking wild,
yeah,
man.
dude. You can be out in prison for decades, man, for that kind of shit.
So maybe his strategy is just to continue to get continuances until he can basically say he's been tied up in this long enough that it's not right for him to do any extreme amount of jail time.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. There's too many higher ends in that that's got hands in it that he's not gonna.
Oh, and that's perfect right there. Once you're placed under house arrest, all that time counts.
Right.
So if they could get this 2 years of house arrest,
He may do 1 year prison, suspended sentence because nobody died.
Do you remember that guy who...
Especially with mental health shit going on,
Do you remember that guy whose son got molested at a Boy Scout camp? It's like a late 90s video, and he's like in a phone booth, and the guy, they're taking him into jail, the predator, and the dad of the son turns around and shoots the guy in the head.
I didn't see it.
Look this up. All you have to type in is dad kills son.
I don't really want to see, you know what I mean? I get it that it's somebody that probably doesn't deserve to live.
Dad kills son's abuser. Oh, you want to see this, dude. Oh, yeah, Gary Plauché. Okay. This guy.
Your trolls are barking.
The trolls. Okay, type in Gary Plauché video. Here we go. E-footage.
Oh, I might have seen
It's not that gruesome because the video is so old. Here you go. So he's walking down, and the dad's hiding in the phone booth, and boom, shoots him right in the head. Okay, well, the point is not to just watch some gruesome shit. Gary did no jail time.
Yeah.
No jail time.
They probably said, hey, this guy was so distraught.
Yeah, well, and it gives you an idea that, like, county to county, things are handled way differently.
Yeah. And where was this at? Was this in California?
No, I think that was
because I feel like in California that shit would probably,
No, see, I
know
feel
they're
like
liberal,
California
but
is so
still,
liberal that it would not.
That's what I'm saying.
That happened in, I think, like Wyoming or something.
Well, of course they'd let that go. If it was Texas, shit, he'd be out on bond instantly.
Here we go. Yeah, click that Wikipedia there. Oh, yeah, 7-year suspended sentence, but it was all 5 years probation. Okay, Louisiana. Yeah,
so he got 2 years for blowing away his son's abuser. Anybody who do that guy you looked at as a hero in jail.
No, I don't think he did a day in jail.
Probably not.
Go back up. Let me see. He's initially charged, plea bargain, no contest. He was sentenced to 7 years suspended sentence with 5 years probation, 300 hours of community service. So he never did a day in jail, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
That's probably what's going to happen with Mr. Velasquez.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, is
because the dude's like a role model citizen. Yeah. He did wrestling tournament, all kinds of shit.
A lot of shit for the community.
Yes, of course. That would outrage... Dude, if I had a kid and that happened, are you fucking kidding me? I'd kill their whole family.
And that's the going consensus that people say. But
no problem.
Ah, man, the problem is, can you defend it? I get in this argument with people all the fucking time about, like, the stand your ground. Stand your ground is the dumbest shit. And here's why. Because you then have to basically fight for your ability to have someone else ascertain if that was necessary or not. So, like, if you come into my door and I'm scared as fuck. Now, for me, dude, That's
why you shouldn't be rolling into people's houses.
I get it. I'm on your side. I just think that, man, people think that you can just come up there and you can shoot somebody and that life isn't going to be turned upside down.
Oh, it will. It'll fuck it up. But here's the deal. Don't go walking around people's houses and doing stupid shit. And don't get fucking shot.
Right.
You know?
But the thing is, the people that are totally in the right are constantly fighting for their freedom after that.
I know.
You know, and there's like
I know.
That whole...
That's why I don't have a lot of faith in the United States judicial system nowadays. Because a lot of times, those guys didn't do half that shit.
What was that case where that very geriatric gentleman shot that young black kid about 6 to 8 months ago?
I have no idea.
Here in the Northland.
Oh,
you remember
Ralph?
That? Ralph Yarl.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm not saying anything about the cause of the accident. All I'm saying is that people were acting like they should have just put that old guy in prison immediately. It happened in the evening, after dark. Okay, I'm telling you right now, man, that I get scared in all kinds of situations that shouldn't scare me. It doesn't matter color or not. Like if I'm at Walmart or something and somebody's like tracing my trail and like they don't even mean to, maybe we're going in the same direction, I get sketched out. So I also, working for a place where I go to people's houses at 3 a.m. An old lady falls.
Yeah.
Or she doesn't fall. This is the most common consensus that I try to explain to people, or common conception. Dude, I'll go to people's houses at 3 a.m. because they rolled over on their pendant alarm.
Yeah.
Okay? And I've been in their house where they freak the fuck out and threaten you with violence when you're there to help them. Now, we're wearing reflective bunker pants or some type of uniform that says we're there to help, and they can't process that quick enough. So if you're a guy in your mid to late 80s and some random person comes to your door and we never saw any ring footage to say, oh, he was banging on the door, we don't know. I'm just saying that it amazed me that people acted like there shouldn't have been a discussion of like, was this guy potentially scared or was he a racist? People immediately were like, no, he's definitely racist.
Well, it just goes to show you that there's a whole group of people that just can't handle reality. And that's why they cancel something, because they can't deal with it.
And I have to follow up and furthermore say every time I have this discussion, like, I don't care if they come to the conclusion that he was racist. That's fine if that's the conclusion they come to, and that he did that because...
Yeah, but let them do it.
But let some type of process be played out, man.
Yeah, of course.
Just because it involved a young black kid and an old white guy... Like, I feel like I at least have a weighted opinion. I've been in people's houses at 3 a.m, and they're in the same situation. They get scared as shit, and I am a guy that has a giant type of emergency vehicle parked outside. They can see the lights.
Right.
I mean, it's scary shit. So this kid that's unidentified banging on the door, I just don't understand why we can't at least look a little bit further in before we hang this guy in his last 10 years of life. You know?
Yeah.
It's just wild to me. Dude, can we re-up on that coffee there?
Oh.
That whole...
Yeah.
We got that pot up there?
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Jack.
Yeah, it looks like the police here, they didn't have anything. Obviously, you just read this wiki.
Okay, the Clay County, Missouri Prosecutor's Office stated on April 17th that they had not received a criminal referral from the Kansas City Police Department in regards to the shooting. Later that day, it was announced that Lester would be charged with first-degree assault, armed criminal action. First-degree assault is the name of the Missouri for the charge that other states call attempted murder. The district attorney stated there is a racial component to the case, and that's fine, like I said, but let's figure that out together.
Yeah.
You know, man, it's just so frustrating. So frustrating because I feel like...
Well, that's the kind of thing that the media tries to, they're trying to get clicks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's part of the reason why the media gets a hold of something. I mean, and whenever the media gets a hold of something, it's never going to be completely what it should be.
Well, and sometimes I just feel like
it's got somebody's perspective on it.
Yeah. Well, and then you do have like horrific incidents with the whole, like let's just use the George Floyd because I don't want to go through a bunch of examples, but like you might have something that happens that's bad and horrific. And then I feel like though that we had a good period where we kind of turned around. Like I can't run a single call where I'm not on 6 body cameras anymore. I feel like we've made progressive changes. We've made a lot of progressive changes, good changes, and then something like this happens and it just sets us backwards. It's frustrating. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Get some more coffee here.
You have a paper towel? Paper towel?
Yeah, upstairs.
Okay, I'm gonna wipe mine.
What's he wiping? So you want some blueberry? Yep.
What's that?
It's pre-workout.
Blueberry.
Hey, will you hand me that coffee or that creamer?
Oh, you want some?
Yeah. You want some more smelling salts?
I had good. I was on his camera when that shit.
Nice.
When he,
Tell you what, we got to get a guest that's a little less high maintenance next time, though. God damn.
23 minutes on this one. The other one I think was like 47.
I have to edit all this shit out now.
Let me see if he'll, if he can scoot in a little bit. He's like right out of, he's not out of frame, but he's right on the edge. Hold on. He's not out of frame, he's just right on the edge.
Ah, copy. Hey, you're working next day, huh? You calling in sick?
No, I had to get, do all that shit before the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Use as many sick days as possible. In the
So are we back? Do we have 2 free days again?
yeah. Yeah, you just do 2 apps right off the bat. Yeah, I'm not coming in. Just F-day me until it becomes a problem.
We got to get more of those cameras, though. Damn, that looks good.
Yeah, but he's like this.
Yeah, he needs to come into frame. Oh, man. This fucking guy's high maintenance, dude.
No, he's chill. You just need a bathroom in the fucking studio.
We do.
What's so hard about that?
I don't know. We maybe need to look at renting a space.
2 guests in. Man, I
Uh,
gotta get out of this storage unit. I'm paying fucking $300 a month.
are you?
Destroying me. I mean, it's not destroying me, but
Are you leased in or something?
no, I just have shit in there. I need to store it somewhere. So
What were
We
you
just take it
doing?
out to the
Washing your
house
cup
Yeah, I
out?
was washing this cup
Throw it
out.
away.
Jesus, you're just drinking more coffee.
Well, I put some nicotine pouches in there.
Get it together, dude.
Well, I took smoked
Right.
too much weed.
God, Jesus.
you want to try and scoot in a little on your.
Oh, yeah,
on your
of
chair?
course.
I know.
Sorry, the
table-
chairs
the
are
table was a
shit.
prototype.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Everything
Is
here's
that
a
good?
fucking prototype.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
All right. So anyway, back to the clan meeting. I mean,
Damn it. We have to cut that out now.
What do you guys need to?
I think we're good.
yeah.
I pulled up all the newest fights.
Yeah.
I was gonna get your reaction on the
Oh, is this
women's
a new card?
bantamweight cancellation. Let's get the reaction to the women's bantamweight.
Hey, you know, a lot of people are, they use those women's fights as bathroom breaks, but I'll tell you, man, we just had one
Dude,
of the
they're
greatest
bangers.
women fights of all fucking time a couple weeks ago, dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
Man, that prelim headliner. Whew.
Yeah, go to UFC 296. I want to see the punch stats for this fight. It was on the prelims. There you go.
Yeah.
Irene Aldana versus Carol
Yeah.
Hosa. 145 significant strikes for Aldana, 204. Oh, that's the total strikes. Significant. Oh, they counted every single strike she had as significant on both sides. So in this fight, Carol Hosa came out and looked like she was just going to bludgeon Irene Aldana. She had her leg basically to the point in the end of round 1 where Irene Aldana was not even able to walk. She couldn't even walk. And then she comes out there, and Irene Aldana is an amazing boxer, but she doesn't have like great kick defense. She doesn't have great kicks. She just comes out there and absolutely bludgeons. You want this?
Who's Phil Haas getting ready to fight on the new one? The newest card that's coming up. Phil Haas is scheduled against somebody.
Yeah, Phil Haas on this. He's on
Dude,
the fight
that
night
dude's
coming up.
glass. That dude's got such a glass chin.
Phil Haas.
That dude gets rocked every fucking fight.
Yeah, he's one of those guys though that like
Dude, he's cannon.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude,
in
that
his
dude
body
throws
looks like he'd be a
nickel
cannon.
launchers, Yes. But I'm telling you, his chin, he gets rocked and I'm like, is he not in the right weight class? Because I don't think he's necessarily chinny. He's just hit some pretty hard. He's just fought some pretty hard hitting gats.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, man.
Who's
but
he?
there's so
Who's he
many.
getting ready to fight?
Who now?
Just
Phil
go back
Haas.
to the UFC on Google, and we can pull up their next few cards.
UFC what?
Just type in UFC. There we go. Okay, so the next card,
Okay.
he's on this one, right?
Yeah.
All right, go down here.
The Jim Miller, Gabriel Benitez.
Ooh,
would be a
Ricky
good one.
Simone.
I
Okay,
think Gabriel Benitez is going to chop his leg.
he's fighting Bruno Ferreira.
Okay.
They just keep feeding him killers. 10-1.
know.
Go to Bruno real quick. Let's see his last fight. This might be either his second fight in the UFC. Okay, he had it canceled against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Oh my God,
Yeah, but that
he beat
Norselton
RoboCop, dude.
Yeah, he out. Oh no, yeah, he knocked him out.
So he's been off for roughly a year.
Dude, RoboCop. Dude, I love RoboCop so much. His
Yep.
fighting style is so great.
You ever seen the footage of him sparring
Strickland.
Alex?
Pereira?
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Because they fought each other.
Did they?
Yeah.
Just
and
going
Pereira
to war.
destroyed him.
No, you're thinking of. Are you talking about in the UFC?
Yeah.
No. You're thinking of Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva went to war with Alex Pereira.
Yeah, but RoboCop.
Oh, you're talking about RoboCop?
Yeah, he fought Alex Pereira too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not in the UFC, did he?
Yes.
Huh.
Gregory Rodriguez.
Gregory Rodriguez UFC record. I don't think RoboCop fought Pereira in the UFC.
I thought he did.
I don't think so. But that Bruno Silva Pereira fight was a fucking war. No, he hasn't. Dusko Todorovic.
Okay, I thought he did for some reason.
He's only fought killers though.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, it wasn't
Shadi
bad,
Nukwadchani. Wow. Yeah, he's so fun to watch, man. Oh, and he's gonna get Brad Tavares next.
Oh.
So what are they gonna do at flyweight now?
Yeah. I mean, Pantoja.
I mean, how about giving
if
Elliott a
Cop-
shot?
Yeah. I think if Cop wins this one, he should get the next one. Personally.
I mean, they want to do Moreno again, but they're just not.
No, that dude's.
So-
he needs another fight with somebody else. Obviously, he's gonna fight Elbezi.
Manel Cape versus Mateus Nicolai looks like they could fight Kaikara France for a title eliminator.
Yeah.
That could be your next one.
Yeah.
Tim Elliott, number 10, coming off of 2 wins that were very, very impressive, and he's a local hometown hero.
he's not gonna leapfrog Muhammad Mukayev.
No, but he did go to decision with Muhammad Mokaev.
Yeah, but he's not gonna leapfrog him for a title. That's
No, Muhammad Mokaev is probably the guy who they want to get.
I
into that
think so,
title
but they
shot.
he needs one more, and I think they need to have one more before they set that up. Like I think Pantoja needs to fight Cobb if he wins.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
he doesn't,
you can't
then
give
France. They should give France, or they should give. Though they'll give it to. If Elbezi wins, they'll give it to Elbezi next, especially with what's going on with the UFC and how big. They'll make that for fucking Abu Dhabi next year.
Tagir Bekov just looked phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, another thing I was going to ask you about is, I don't know, I think Giga Chikadze kind of lost a step, and I mean that as respectfully as possible. But that last fight he had, he won it.
Yeah, but I think he was just but it was
time off.
He had some time off, and he was coming off a loss. So I
Yeah.
really do think that had something to do with it. He was just trying not to, because that kick wasn't on. You know what I'm talking about, that Giga kick. He wasn't even trying it. He wasn't even throwing it.
He seemed like he was, unfortunately, he seemed like he kind of lost that step to where he knew he won the fight, and he didn't want to risk it anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Which is
some
kind of-
people get like that, especially after they've had a loss.
Yeah, and he really, really, really wanted to win, and I can understand that, but how about Max Holloway? What do you do with that guy?
I mean, hopefully
There's
they make
some
him.
rumors.
They're saying they might make him versus Gagey on UFC 300. That would be insane.
I don't want to see that fight.
I mean, Gagey would beat him, but
I think that Max Holloway has a really educated jab,
he does. But I
and
still
I think he would survive a little bit, but I think Gaethje's pressure
over
and
all.
his strength.
Gagey can take so much. Gagey's the Terminator.
Yeah. And then Islam Makhachev. I mean, every single division right now is just
Well, I think they were going to make Makhachev versus. They need to make Makhachev versus either Sarukian, or they need to make it versus Charles.
well, they had the Charles fight lined up, but Charles got injured. So,
Well, they either need to book it with Armon, or they need to rebook that one.
yeah, go down a little bit because that's the pound for pound list on the left. Keep going down. Here we go, lightweight. Wow, I know Gaethje wants that title shot. Poirier seems like he's sitting out for just a payday.
Jamal Hill really needs to fight, so that way the heavyweight title can be a little bit more validated, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Jamal Hill needs to come back and fight Alex
That's what I'm saying.
and
That's
quit.
the fight. Yeah.
I don't really
I don't
like
know
this.
if they're gonna put him against that though.
I don't like this talk about Alex going up to heavyweight.
Oh, against Aspinall?
I mean, anyone.
That's what they were gonna say is against Aspinall.
I don't like it, man. Let's keep him
I'm not
down.
a heavyweight. I think he needs to
No.
be at 205, or they need to do cruiser. They need to have a cruiserweight title,
Mm-hmm.
which Jones would just be the winner at that one.
You think Valentina's done?
No, she's taking another fight. I'm trying to think who it was, but it's hard because Grosso's so good. She just has her number. So, I don't know who Valentina. I think Valentina should go up to 135 and fight Pena personally.
Yeah, I think now that Nunes is gone, I'd like to see Valentina move up.
I think she needs to fight Pena, and I think the winner of that needs to get the next shot after those two late. I forgot who's fighting for the title. I think it's Pennington and who else?
For the 135-pound
Yeah.
title. So are they going to line up Pennington with the champ?
It might be Bueno Silva versus Pennington.
They don't even have the champ listed for women's bantamweight.
because they're going to crown a new one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't, dude. That's
I
one
think
of those
Benoit
divisions
Saint
that
Denis needs to get in there at 155. He's in the mix.
he's in the mix. Heavyweight,
That dude's
man.
a monster too. That special forces guy, like fuck, dude.
Crazy. It sounds like they're going to continue down the line with the Miocic, John Jones fight before they do anything else at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Shit's kind of up in the air. With
They need to heavyweight. Like I said, you could almost split that into two divisions in a way. You could do 255. You know, you could do 240 to 266, and then you could do 207 to 2. You know,
you do the 205
35
to 245 or
Yeah.
something, and then super heavyweight. I don't think the UFC's in the business of adding a division anytime soon.
It would be another 3 or 4 years before they could add anything, and if they did, it would probably be women's atomweight.
Yeah. What do you think of Ian Machado Gary? You think he's legit?
I do, but I think once he fights like a really good grappler, like if he fought Usman would waste him, in my opinion.
It's GA. He's down there a bit.
I love Gary. I love his personality. I just think that if he fights a more complete guy, and this is the thing about it, is they're not trying to put contenders with each other anymore. Does that make sense? Like, to me, if this was 10 years ago, the UFC would have put him against Rachmaninoff already.
Yeah. Well, you say that, though, but they still make fights that I think are very flip script compared to boxing. Like, I don't know why, from a money standpoint, you would put MVP coming in and fight him against Kevin Holland.
As a measuring stick, because Dana doesn't lose either way. Because if he wins, it's, hey, we got this guy, and look what he's getting ready to do. If they lose, it's, oh, that guy came from Bellator.
And Holland's one of those people that you can let him lose, and he's still going to retain his fan base.
Yeah, I still watch the guy fight. He could still headline a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Or not a pay-per-view, but still headline, a fight night.
Let me ask you this. Was the Impa Kasanganai knockout the greatest knockout? The Buck.
Man, I saw this one knockout and I'm telling you, it was a falling tomahawk elbow, and I just had never seen anything like that. In fact, pull it up, Jack. What? Falling tomahawk elbow.
Who the hell did Impa Kasanganai get that spinning?
It was that one guy from St. Louis.
Yes. Oh my God.
Joaquin Buckley.
Is that not the greatest knockout of all time across every sport?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I'm telling you.
Is this it?
No.
I feel like these tomahawk elbows happen all the time.
No, this was falling, though. This dude leaped in for it. It was in ONE FC.
This one here?
I think so. Yeah. That's it.
Jeez.
That's insane. See that?
Oh my God.
See? He came out the way he came out
Yeah.
like that. It was just like, oh, people can move like that? Holy shit.
For me, the Joaquin Buckley
See that?
or
That's fucking insane, bro.
or the Yair Rodriguez last 1 second spinning elbow.
Jung against my boy. Yeah.
Those have to be the greatest knockouts. You know what's crazy though is that now we're talking about 3 knockouts of the history, and I think we kind of agreed that they're all up there in the top 10. And how many years has that been? 5, 6?
Oh yeah.
So all these knockouts have happened recently.
Well, that's because MMA is evolving so much,
and we got to watch them.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Yeah. Who do you think Shavkat gets next?
If he doesn't get a title shot, they should either give him Burns, and then from there, because Colby's not going to want that. But I think they need to give him Burns, or he's earned his shot. I mean, he's number 3. Muhammad gets it next.
I think they're going to give the shot next to Bilal.
They need to.
Yeah.
He's more than earned it, dude.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a hell of a fight, too.
Based on what I'm seeing, I don't see how Bilal loses that fight. I like Leon. Great guy, great story.
Great fighter.
Incredible come from behind knockout. You know,
I think Bilal's just got more tools, man, because his takedowns have gotten so good, too.
Amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
And his striking, ever since he started working with Khabib, it's just like, shit, this dude.
I'd like to see Fiziev heal up.
Yes.
And I don't know. I really kind of would like to see him fight Michael Chandler.
I'd either like to see him fight Chandler, or I'd like to see him fight Sarukian.
Yeah, but Sarukian, I don't. This is just from a fanboy type stance, but dude, Sarukian can take anyone down.
I know.
So I mean, he's easily gonna take Fiziev down, easily.
I don't think he would though. I think he'll.
Fuck no, you are out of your mind.
I
dude.
think he'll kickbox him.
Nobody's gonna kickbox Javier Fiziev if they don't have to.
You're right. If they don't have to.
If they don't have to, that is risking your entire
that
career,
dude's so
setting you
good.
back. Man.
Well, what time is it?
It's about time to wrap this sucker up,
It
dude.
is. Yeah.
Fun. Well, dude, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Well, buddy,
gonna hit
we've enjoyed a lot of memories together. A lot
We
of
have.
fun.
I don't think this will be the last time I'll be on here.
No, plenty of times to come. We got some big pay-per-views coming
Oh,
up.
I know. We should do We should do the fight companion.
I agree. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool, man. Well, cheers. Thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
As always, that's my MMA guy, Josh Allen, baby. Thanks again, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good. I don't think I said anything too stupid.
Well, just about the clan.
Oh, well, you know, it's me. Only can a Korean guy say that shit.